For Crema Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dlamini. Stand-up comedian Tumi Morake discusses her latest book titled And Then Mama Said, Word That Sets My Life Alight. We know you as Tumi Morake, the stand-up comedian. Can you tell us who is Tumi Morake?
Yeah. Tumi Morake. Who's Tumi Morake? She is a trier. She's a Motswana girl raised between the Free State and Buputatswana/Northwest, and now she's just a mummy and a working woman. You know.
Why did you decide to write this book? And what message were you trying to put across the readers?
This time, I guess, because I'd always wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write about my mother and just share this wonderful, wonderful woman I knew. I never knew how, though. And then after the events of last year, especially after Jacaranda, I knew a lot of people were very curious. And there were a lot of people drawing conclusions about who I am. So it was a nice way to kind of reclaim a narrative by saying, by the way, this is who I am.
You speak highly of your mom. Can you tell us why she's the most important person in your life? Besides that, she gave you
life. Yes, she gave me life. She kind of puts her right up there.
Legs.
Ah, yes. Oh my goodness, my mom and her legs.
Yeah.
Look, my mother just normalized powerful women to me. So there are women who there are people who I meet who you speak to who'll be surprised by the resilience of women. And I'm going, how are you surprised? This is part of our makeup, So she was very special to me as well because she's a voice I always need to access, especially when I'm doing my stand-up and especially when I know I'm going to say things that are going to challenge and I'm going to say things that people may decide it's not my place to say purely because I'm a woman, purely because I'm black, purely because I'm South African. And I feel like I always go back to her and I go, actually, I will say this thing. And she was important to me because she did not hide her weaknesses from me. I celebrate a woman who I knew in her rawest form. And she still, if I could, when I pass away, have lived as full a life as my mom, I would have done so much.
Many people who heard that I was going to meet you told me to prepare to laugh a lot. Tell us, how are you able to deal with fans when you meet them in public spaces?
It's a weird thing. When I'm tired, I struggle with it and it's hard for me. But I've refused to closet my life to accommodate a so-called celebrity life. And what it's done for me is that I haven't become that celebrity that people always have to jump on because they never see her. I have made sure I'm such a part of my community that there's nothing exciting about seeing me except to say maybe you saw me on TV or you liked something I said recently. Yeah. So that's how I've dealt with it, because when I'm exhausted, I avoid malls that are not used to me. I avoid places that are not used to me because I really don't want to take a photo, and when I don't want to, don't make me. It makes me an unnice person, because I genuinely love people and I love being around people. But sometimes I've got 3 kids, I'm trying to make sure I don't lose one, but you want me to stop and pose. But generally, I really enjoy people. I really do. I thrive on people's energy in the same way that it can drain me. I thrive on it.
Can you also tell us how you are able to balance the life of being a mom, a wife, as well as a comedian?
For me, I feel like they're not separated. It's such an organic space to be in. The wife is a mother, the mother is a wife. So it all falls under the same portfolio. When I'm at home, I'm all of those things at the same time. And even with work, the work feeds my soul so much, because the work is not work I'm doing because I have to. It's not a 9 to 5 that I'm tied to. It is stuff I love doing and stuff I want to do. So that makes it so much easier, Although now that I think about it, I do feel like I must start walking around with a collection hat, so that when I'm being a mom and I'm out with my kids, but people want me to tell them a joke or to take photos, I must just say, put 20 rand. And then
Then you can do
then I can buy seats for the kids.
Yeah. How did you venture into becoming a stand-up comedian?
So I've always loved humor, performance, that sort of thing. I went to Wits. I studied towards my BA in dramatic art, my BA honors in dramatic art. And while I was studying performance, I started to learn more about comedy. I was watching stand-up comedy. There would be live comedy happening on campus. This is back in the day when John Flismus, David Gow, Chris Forrest, those guys would come and do these lunchtime comedy shows in all week. And there my interest was sparked a little bit. And then there was a fourth year student who was doing their final year project and they needed comedians. And I was like, well, I'm funny. So I took a gamble and I went in and auditioned and I got it. And I've been in love with comedy ever since.
You made headlines when you were involved in a race row at the Jacaranda FM. Can you tell us what happened?
I made a statement that would have flown on any other radio station. And that's my honest to God opinion. That would have flown and maybe even started a conversation that would continue, you know. But what happened there is people were really touched in their studios because we were talking about a very, I suppose, sensitive issue which was sparked by Steve Aoki being banned from performing overseas somewhere, I think it was Netherlands. And so we were talking about why. And I always think about the irony of when I took part in this conversation, it wasn't to say good, ban the guy. It was me going, why do you silence an artist? You know? So I want to understand what's stopping the guy from playing his music is, you know, what's he done to you? Anyway, and I thought the conversation would become a conversation around representation, you know, and where the country was at. Instead, it became this thing of, yeah, but what about? And yeah, so it blew up. It blew up. I think I said something that kind of reminded a certain section of the listeners of that radio station that I don't know, reminded them that I'm not a safe black. I'm not here to toe the line. That it's an entertainment radio station, we're there to have a good time, but when you're having real conversations, I'm going to be real with you. I'm not going to say what you need to hear. I mean, I'm not going to say what you want to hear. I'm going to say what you need to hear. And it blew up.
I am noticing that a few women are entering into the stand-up comedy industry. Can you talk to women who are also trying to enter into this space?
Own your voice. You can't be a cheap version of anyone else because that's all you're going to remain. And also, your femaleness cannot be something that gets in your way. You really can't be so overly conscious of it. You're a female, it's a natural thing, it's how you arrived, you've never been anything else. So wearing it like a crown and using it as a crutch isn't going to help you in this industry. And that's the one thing that I love about comedy, is that if you're good at what you do, you are gonna, and you're smart, you're gonna go far. That's what I've found. And so if women are trying to get into this industry, they need to go in going, I'm here to play with everyone who's playing. I'm here to play with the boys. I'm not some woman who's here to pick up whatever sloppy seconds they leave me. I'm here to play with the boys.
In your book, you are also addressing the issue of body shaming while you were at the Our Perfect Wedding show. Can you briefly share your experience?
No, you know, everybody knows that Black Twitter is lit. And we know that they will tear you apart. They're always ready. And so I was always ready for that mentally, because I had been one of the people who watched OPW on TV and through Twitter. So I knew the beast I was about to encounter. What I didn't expect was to have to take it from the inside as well. And I felt like I needed to say it, not to attack the people I used to work with, but to kind of remind people that we are humans working with other humans. We hurt, we get hurt, and there's a lot to get past. Because there's a lot of young women who want to enter this industry because they see the curated aspect. They don't see everything else. They don't see what we need to trudge through to get to the final product. And I'm just going, after you read this, if it ever has to happen to you, God forbid, you're prepared for it. You go, oh, Ghana, this thing happens. And I'm actually glad that I'd even said to them, I'd actually communicated with the production company at some point, an email, a very honest email, where I told them how I felt about how things were happening. Because I felt like also it would be unfair to then go and put in a book that these people did this thing to you, but they didn't even know they put you through that. So I made sure that I sent them an email very clearly outlining how I felt, because we also have an assumption as women that if I end up in an environment full of women, that's what we're doing with sisters, we're backing each other up, we're pushing each other up. And women need to realize how much we cut each other down. And I needed to highlight that in the same way I've had women rooting for me, I've had women hurt me. And again, it's just, I think the whole point of this book is to say, through my mother, I got to see so much beauty and so much ugliness that when I was facing my own, through all the ugly, I was like, I know there's beauty. I know I'm going to get out of this. I know I'm going to build my way out of this,
Can you also share the challenges that you encountered while you were writing this book?
The challenges for me were burning bridges. I did not want to burn bridges. I knew that people really want to read about the Jacaranda thing. I knew it will be probably the most enticing thing about the book would be them finding out exactly what went down. So the hard thing for me is I don't resent the station. And there are people who still work there who I love and respect. And I also have a relationship with Kagiso Media, who own Jacaranda. So I was not out to burn bridges or attack. So I wanted to make sure that I don't compromise my voice and my honesty. At the same time, I don't compromise my relationship with people. That was the hard thing. The second thing was I have in-laws, I have my family, I have friends and colleagues who don't know me like this. So it was also the idea of there are hearts that are going to break when they read this. And already I've had friends who've reached out, and I've had ex-colleagues who've reached out who had no idea, and a couple who said, I knew, but I read your book and I cried because I chose to decide it's lighter than what I see. And those kinds of conversations for me are encouraging, because then I feel like, cool, I feel like you're walking away, not saying, oh, now you're out to settle scores,
Yeah,
They are getting the sense that I was trying to be balanced. I was trying to say, as a fallible human being, this is my part in this, but this is how I got here.
What else will the readers get from reading your book?
I want dreamers to dream and darers to dare, because when I look back at my life, I go, in my immediate environment, who made me want to be where I am? There wasn't really this physical example or this TV star that made me want to be that. Yet there was a drive, and my mother encouraged that drive and was my champion, was championing this thing. And so I'm hoping that every man, woman who reads this, whatever color, creed, reads it and goes, I'm in a dark space, but light overwhelms dark any day. I hope they look at it and go, I am not my past. I'm not my past. It can inform me, it can shape me, but I'm not it. I think that's the biggest thing I want people to get out of it. And bigger than that, I want to immortalize my mother in this book and in people's understanding of me, because I feel like by the time she passed, man, she hadn't been celebrated enough. Yeah.
That was Tumi Morake speaking to Crima Media's Polity about her book titled "And Then Mama Said, Words That Set My Life Alight."